Hello, our next topic that we're going to discuss is multiplying fractions. And multiplying fractions is actually really simple in itself, but I'm trying to get the kids to understand what conceptually is happening with multiplying fractions. So we'll start it with just a whole number and a fraction. So if we have, for example, 3/4, I must really like 3/4, I use it a lot. So 3/4 times 3. So what this is really saying is that we want 3/4 of 3. So when they first learned multiplication, they learned that when you're doing multiplication, you're doing groups of. So this is saying we want 3/4 of 3. So we only want part of 3. We don't want all of the three wholes. We only want 3/4 of it. So visually, what that means, so if we have 3 wholes, so I'm just using circles for these, and in an ideal world they would all be the same size, but they're not here, but that's okay. I have 3 wholes, which that's what that represents, and I only want 3/4 of them. So first I have to divide them into fourths, and I'm only going to shade in 3/4 of each of them. So this is visually showing me 3/4. So I can easily just count these up now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means I have 9/4. Now we do need to simplify. So 9/4 simplifies to 2 and 1/4. So I could do this by visually seeing it. So I can see again that I have 3/4 of each of these holes, and I have 3 holes. So I have 9 total parts shaded in, and they're divided into fourths, and that equals 2 and 1/4. The other way that I can do this is by simply multiplying my numerator by my whole number, and then the denominator doesn't change since it's not being multiplied by another denominator. So here I would get 9/4 again, which would simplify to 2 and 1/4. So multiplying a fraction by a whole number is super simple. Even visually, it's actually a lot easier to understand. So now let's take a look at when we're doing a fraction by a fraction. So if we had 1/4 times 2/3. So 1/4 times 2/3. And those of you, if you remember middle school or 5th grade math, you're probably thinking, oh, this is really easy. You just multiply across, it's no big deal. You're right, it is. Again, I really want them to focus on what it means and what they're looking at. So it's the same thing. We're only looking at 1/4 of 2/3. So first I have to show 2/3. So if I have 2/3, that means I don't quite have a whole yet. I only have 2/3 of it. So I'm going to draw my box, and I'm going to shade in 2/3 of it. So right now I have 2/3. My next step then is to do 1/4 of 2/3. So I'm only looking at 2/3. And then of that 2/3, I want 1/4. So I'm going to split it into fourths going horizontally now. And I'm going to shade in 1/4 of that going this way. So if we look at this now, there's 2/3 and I only want 1/4 of it. That means my numerator is 2 parts. So my numerator is 2. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 all together. So I'm only looking at 2 of the 12 parts. Now, we can easily do this the same up here by doing it just like we did up here. So 1 times 2, and then 4 times 3, and we again would get 2/12. This also simplifies to 1/6. So I'm going to do another example of the box for multiplying fractions because that can be a little overwhelming at first. So let's do another example. Squeeze it in down here at the bottom. So if we had, this time let's do 2/3 times 5, 6. So 2/3 times 5, 6. Again, I'm going to do my box. This time I'll use black. It's a little easier to see. And I want 2/3 of 5, 6. So I first got to do that 2/3, or the 5, 6, sorry. Split it into thirds and then into sixes. And I want 5 of those shaded in. Okay, so I have 5, 6 shaded in. And now I need to do 2/3 of that 5, 6. So 2/3 of 5, 6. So there are my thirds, and I'm going to shade in 2 of those. So if we're looking at this, so we've got 5, 6, and we only want 2/3 of it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shaded in. I'm going to kind of do these lines a little bit more so you can see them. And really, it's kind of where the double colors cross each other. So if you count all those, then you would get 10. And there's 3 times 6, so 18. So 10 18ths, which is equal to 2 9ths. Multiplying fractions, again, is a relatively simple concept. The diagrams do get a little tricky to understand sometimes, but they really do help you to visually see what's happening, not just multiplying across, because that really in itself is just a trick. It's a shortcut. But this, you can see conceptually what we're looking at, that we're looking at 1/4 of 2/3, that we're not looking at the whole, we're only looking at a portion of it, that we're only looking at 3/4 of the 3 wholes. Again, if you got questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Hopefully you learned something new on this multiplying fractions video. Thank you.